Don't make the same mistakes I made, and hopefully one day you're gonna jump higher than me. And I put this on my Instagram story the other day. If by the end of my life, I haven't coached an athlete to jump higher than me, jump higher than a world record 50.5 inches, then I will have considered my career as a coach a failure.
Don't worry, Isaiah. I'm taking your record. But not with your coaching.
I'll do it myself.
Yes, you heard right. My ultimate goal with training is to surpass Isaiah Rivera's 50.5 inch vertical. And yes, I do plan on doing that without using THP. Although I do agree with THP's methods of training, I personally plan on taking a different route. I just want to experiment, and not just experiment, but I think my way of going about things will be better. But who am I to say I'm more ignorant and I have way less experience with jumping than they do, and they train thousands of people, so realistically I'm probably wrong, but I still feel like the way I'm going about it is logically right in my head. I'm gonna explain to you guys what I mean. Now, if you watch Isaiah Rivera's content, he often says the law of
I said it sounds like Johnny K. Reed.
Specificity, whatever. You know what I mean, that saying, which basically implies that if you want to get better at something, you have to do things that are specific to that. So logically, if you go down this path to jump higher, you want to jump often, probably more than you do anything else. And even when they explain it themselves and show the workouts, is usually like 1 or 2 jumping days a week, followed by a bunch of lifting. But the movements that they do are obviously similar to how they are jumping. So the thing is, like, why don't they just jump as often as they can if they want to jump as high as they can? Well, they answer this tons of times, which is because you will get tendon pain, you will get injured and whatnot. The list goes on, not that far, but along those lines. But the thing is, though, you see other dunkers that jump way up more often than Isaiah Rivera and they never get hurt. Even if you look at the best to do it, Jordan Kilgannon, he says to not go without jumping more than 3 days, and he dunks. From what I've seen, it's like every other day, something like that. Even myself, whenever I have more than 2 dunk sessions in a row, I get really bad knee pain. That's over a 3 out of 10, which is what's recommended to be within jumping range, which I agree with. But the thing is, for most of August, I've been able to jump almost every single day for an hour or 2 without getting knee pain on top of working out. I'm not gonna lie though, this month I've been slacking on the workouts a little bit, but I will get back into it, especially now that it's getting cold and I won't be able to go outside and dunk as much. I'll be in my lifting phase a lot more. But my point is, as of right now, I think, in my opinion, the best method to go about jumping higher is to optimize your body to be able to handle more frequent jumps at a high intensity, so that you can get as specific as possible of training without hurting yourself. So now you're wondering, how do we do this? And I have an idea, but that I'm not 100% sure of, but I think it is
I said it sounds like
right. That took me so long to say. Myself personally, I have tried training like Isaiah Rivera and doing more of like the powerlifting and the heavy squats and stuff like that. I'm not saying it doesn't work. It actually does work. Like when once you deload, the strength does translate to jumping higher. But the thing is, I get more knee pain when I train more like a power lifter, right? Because I usually gain weight because of the restricting of cardio. So I'll gain weight. So for example, like when I was training like that, I was in the high 180s, low 190s, which at 6'2 and a half, 6'2 and a quarter, that's not a bad weight. That's actually lighter than most guys that are dunking. The problem was that I could only handle 1 or 2 jump sessions a week, which is exactly how Isaiah Rivera trains. So I guess it shows that I had similar stress levels on my tendons when I trained similarly to how he trained. But the point is that my body wasn't optimized to handle a large volume of jumps because of how heavy I was. Now that I'm in the low 80s, I cut, I've been really active, eating decently healthy. So right now, I am 183. And what I find is that I can do almost 2 hours of jumping every day and not get knee pain. I've even had days where I was able to play basketball, do a dunk session, take a break, go back to the gym, and do another plyometric session for an hour and a half, and my knees were completely fine. I've been jumping almost every day, lifting about every other day, and I've been doing, like, my joints all feel good. And not only do I feel better, I'm jumping higher. It's like, why not continue doing what I'm doing, right? And the more weight I lose, the higher I keep jumping. So I want to experiment and try cutting down back to my college weight, right? I weighed 170 in college. So I'm thinking if I try getting to the high 170s first, seeing how I feel then, going down to the mid 170s, seeing how I feel then, and keep going down in weight until I find that right spot where I'm not losing too much strength and my ratio of strength and power to weight is not dropping. Because once that drops, that's when I know my vertical is gonna drop. So I always want that to be increasing. And the more my weight decreases, the more that ratio has been increasing in my experience. I think one of the reasons why it's been like that for me is because even though I'm a 2-foot jumper, I'm more of a velocity jumper. Because before I even knew what plows was or anything, I've been doing jump training since like late elementary school, like when I was in grade 8 and whatnot. And I didn't realize it, but I trained specifically in plows to how a 1-foot jumper should train, even though I'm a 2-foot jumper. So my tendons are like a 1-foot jumper's, but I jump off of 2 feet, so it creates more of like a faster velocity jump. That's what I'm thinking. And I think to match that, if I want to keep my tendons just as stiff and not revert them to a 2-foot jumper, like more stretchy, like I'm going to have to stay light so that I can jump faster to match my tendons. I don't know if that makes sense, but that's what I'm thinking. Because even when you watch videos of me jump, I don't use a full penultimate set because I take off so fast that I can't even get a full extension. Even when I tried fully extending with my penultimate, it just never worked for me. Like I've always jumped lower. I always jump higher when I just focus on just jumping, just like a pogo. Like I kind of, I guess, jump like Anthony Hamilton, not really though, but like his is like way more of an exaggerated version of my jump. But my penultimate is, of course it needs work still. Like I'm not saying like I shouldn't work on my penultimate, getting it more of a straight penultimate, because it is horrible, I can't lie. But I just think that it's because I'm a velocity jumper. And if you know about velocity jumping, the lighter you are, the more velocity jumpers tend to perform better. Like even if you watch high jumpers, most of those guys are built like sticks because they're all velocity jumpers. They take a 15, no, not even like a 30-foot running start, they ease into it, slowly speed up, and then jump over. They use initial velocity, which is better when you're lighter, like a sprinter and whatnot. So now that I've explained my reasoning for why I'm losing weight and training the way I'm training and not going by THP, and why I think doing more jump specific exercises like jumping and dunking will help me get a higher vertical instead of doing more of the lifting, which I still plan on doing. Like there's no excuse to not lift, but I know that I'll be able to jump and lift if I lose even more weight. Like if I get under 180, I just want to be just under 180, like high 70s. I think that's where I'll be optimally able to jump and lift every day while not having knee pain and being like having my knees be sore and whatnot, my joints and stuff. But I'm gonna experiment with it. My only concern, actually I'll talk about my concerns after. I'm gonna talk about first what I need to improve to get that 50-inch vertical. So first of all, like I've been explaining, my number one on my list is to cut weight a little bit more, just slowly, not too fast. Because when you bulk or cut too fast, that's when things go wrong, in my opinion. That's from my experience. The second thing is to work on my calves, because ever since I started squatting, stuff like that, I've been skipping my calves because my mindset has always been, oh, let me do the hard thing first and do the easy thing later. But then I never end up doing the easy thing because I'm like, okay, if I go even harder now and squat even more, I'll take easy tomorrow and just focus on my calves. But then the next day comes and I'm like, okay, all right, let's just go hard again, and then I'll do the easy stuff tomorrow. And that cycle continues, and I always end up just doing so much quads that I never end up getting my calves. Calves used to be like my second best muscle. Like my glutes have always been my best. Maybe even calves. Maybe calves were my best, followed by my glutes. But one of the two. But now like calves are like my number 3 leg muscle. So they've fallen off quite a bit. But I have been working on them the past week or two. I've been doing like calf raises every other day. The third thing is lowering the volume of my training. I do tons of cardio. I ride my bike to and from the gym every day. I do sprints after I'm done playing basketball even sometimes. It is a lot and I wouldn't recommend it. And I still do men's league and stuff like that when I'm playing basketball. But too much volume it just makes your legs sore. Yeah, it's good when you're in the training phase, but when you're actually trying to jump, you just can't because you're always fatigued. It is hard for me because I do like to train. Like I like to be in the gym twice a day. That's like how I ultimately like to train, even though it's not optimal, but that's what I like to do. I like training 2 hours, like having 1 2-hour session, then having another 2-hour session, but the volume is just way too much. And the biggest thing too, this is like, I guess you can count this number 4, I love to eat, right? So to offset those calories, I need to train more. So it's kind of turned into the cycle where sometimes I'm just training just to burn off what I'm eating. So I'm like, instead of training to get better, I'm just training so I can eat more, which is a crazy mentality to have. It's really bad. And the third is to work on my big weaknesses, such as my penultimate step. That could just be 3. The last thing I need to do, but definitely not the least, is continuing to get stronger. My biggest quad growth this year has been biking, but I'm definitely going to have to continue to get stronger. Because one thing that's in common with all of the highest jumpers is that they're all extremely strong, and they're all extremely strong relatively to their weight as well. So a lot of guys can squat like 400s. Like anyone with like a 50-inch vertical, they're squatting like 400 pounds or close to it. So right now, I think I can squat like a bit over 300. I haven't maxed out in a while, but yeah, continue getting stronger, just in general, legs, even upper body a bit, which leads me to my concerns that if I'm doing mainly plyometrics to jump higher, I won't be able to do a lot of strength stuff because I'll be working within the velocity range of training. But I still plan on doing lifting every day or every other day, probably every day. And then continuing, like I bike all the time, right? So I've actually been doing the least amount of squatting this year, and my quads have gotten the strongest just from biking every single day, 15 minutes a day. I try to go as fast as I can for power and whatnot. Because plows will strengthen your tendons and stuff, but when it comes to the muscles, you have to be, well, lifting is the best way to do that. It's like having strong tendons and weak muscles is like having, I don't know, like 1,000 volts going through your wall, but you don't have the applications that even require that amount of power. So it's like, why do you need 1,000 watts through your wall? The watts being your tendons and the applications being your muscles. But if it was the other way around and you had really big muscles and small tendons, then you wouldn't be able to jump either, because it's like, now I can produce a lot of force, but they can't go through my tendons in the first place. So that's even worse. So at least I know I'll have the tendons ready. And if I ever need to do more strength stuff, I'll probably do a lot of isometrics. And yeah, and it's easier to build muscle than it is to build up your tendons. So if I continue building my tendons, I won't regret the way I trained or anything. I'll just start doing more strength stuff whenever I need to. Let me know if you guys like this format more than my other videos. The other videos I like the other format more, but they take so long to edit that it kind of drains me to edit them, and it's really daunting to edit. Whereas these, I can get them out faster and I can make more videos, so I can do a bit of both, but most of the time I do plan on just doing face cam recordings, and then I'll make some like what's it called? Overlay videos where I'm just pretty much using other people's videos and pictures and inserting them. Or I can do a mix of both. But yeah, let me know what you guys prefer and I'll try to stick with that, you know what I mean?